The James Show Podcast.
Anglos.
Yes, Anglos too.
Anglos.
I know, hush, lady. I just want to say, since it is Friday, and the last Friday was the first, and I think a lot of people were in the situation where you broke.
It's Friday.
I am, dude. I'm hurting, bro. I'm hurting. I've got a whole another week until I get another check. I am skating on red, and that's okay. I'm just going to ignore it. That's what overdraft fees are for. We'll be fine. We're still going to have a good weekend. But they're not doing much better in the Texas State House. Look at that transition. You like that, Garrett? Was that a good one? Today was the deadline for the fleeing Democrats to return so they could vote on redistricting. Guess what? Just like everybody predicted, they didn't return. And if you don't get to watch this stuff, I had to watch this on your behalf. This is how much I do for you as a host over here. You owe me for sitting through this boring stuff. So here's what happens. They have to establish a quorum first before they can do any business. So everyone has to sit at their little seat, and they have to hit the little button on the panel in front of them. And while they're doing it, there's this annoying Tinkerbell that keeps going off that just bugs the snot out of me. And I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why it rubs me the wrong way. It's just, okay, it's really high-pitched, like really tinny. It's kind of annoying. And it's kind of, I don't know, like almost whimsical or effeminate. Like, this isn't a Disney movie. This is the state of Texas doing business. You know, if we're trying to ring people up and get them to all establish a quorum, we should have a different sound effect than a Tinkerbell. It's a Tinkerbell. Isn't it cute? Can we all make a quorum now? Don't you hear the Tinkerbell? Time to get to business. That's not what that means to me. It's bizarre. We should have like maybe a chuck wagon triangle at the most, but I would like a big fat gong, or like maybe there should be like the sizzle of a steak being put on the grill. You know what? That's the sound effect we use to call a quorum. But listen to this. Isn't this almost embarrassing? You're going to gavel it in, time to call a quorum, and then the Tinkerbell.
The House will come to order. Members search enforcement is requested by Representatives Moody, Raymond, Munoz, Barry Gonzalez, Maria Cortez, Martinez, Morales. You must register from your desk. You may not register for any member or any.
All right, so they're asking people to register. By the way, the acoustics are horrible in the Texas House of Representatives. Just got flat walls, marble everywhere. It's terrible. Will you stop ringing the bell? They do this for like 45 seconds, 30 seconds or something like that, and then when they don't have a quorum, we're going to have to move on. Stop hitting the bell. We know. Okay, we know they're not going to be here. They have to go through all this. Oh, my God, will you stop with the bell?
There being 95 members present, a quorum is not present.
Okay, so the quorum was not present. That's what happened at about 1 o'clock this afternoon, an hour before the James Show started. We rolled on it live. So then they came in. The chaplain did a prayer. They did a pledge of allegiance to the American flag and to the Texas flag. And then Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, was giving out the news. Well, there's no quorum, so there's no business to be done. Here's what we're going to do about it. And again, I'm sorry the acoustics are terrible. They didn't have like an inboard audio input, so this is just the local CBS affiliate, KEYE, rolling audio in the room. So I'll explain the punishments. Listen to it at first. All of this is just kind of financial knick-knacky stuff. No one's going to go to jail. No one's going to lose their seat, but you could be fined. You could have some of your funding withheld. There's the good part about they can't withhold their paycheck, I guess, by the Constitution. So I don't know if you can hear it in here. He's going to explain that, well, we're just not going to direct deposit it. We'll issue a physical check, and if you want it, you can come pick it up. Well, they're not going to if they want to avoid consequences. So aside from some relatively minor financial costs, there's no real punishment coming with this.
As far as new administrative policies in our chamber go, Comptroller Kelly Hancock and I have enacted a new policy stating that any member absent for the purpose of rating quorum will no longer have their paycheck or per diem deposited electronically. While the Constitution forbids us from withholding pay, It does not dictate how we issue the pay. Those checks must now be picked up in person on Capitol grounds, effective immediately.
Can y'all understand this okay? Garrett, are you understanding what he's saying okay? No? Okay. Well, I do, but I got to watch it with the video. That's where he was explaining they're going to withhold the direct deposit, but you can still pick up your check, paper check. You just got to show it personally. He's going to go on to say like 30% of your expense budget, because they get a per diem and they get a budget to hire staffers and get an office and, do other what's considered to be perfunctory duties there. But it's I guess it's a chunk of money, I suppose. But if it's just money and it's not really punishment, some rich guy like a Beto O'Rourke can swoop in and make up the money lost, and there's no real damage going forward to the people who are avoiding doing their jobs because they don't like the new map, because they don't like the bill. He's also going to take away their newsletter. Ooh, super punishment there. How will an incumbent representative recover? So there are punishments, but not really punishments. He didn't say we're going to send anyone to jail. He didn't say we're going to strip anyone of their seats. He didn't say we're going to declare their seats vacant, which would change the number of people they would need for a quorum and then go ahead and get back to business and pass the map today. No, we're just going to do some like little minor financial paper cuts, and we'll reconvene on Monday. Well, what's going to be different on Monday? Burrows? Dr. Matthew Wilson's coming back on. He's an SMU political science professor. And Dr. Matthew Wilson, first off, your reaction to what happened today, I think this is kind of what most people expected.
Yeah, I think it's not at all a surprise that they didn't reach a quorum. I mean, it would have been pretty sad from the Democrat standpoint if they had folded this quickly and showed up and allowed a quorum. So I think this played out pretty much as everybody anticipated that it would.
Well, the reason to bring them back would be the punishment could be an incentive. Did they know in advance that the punishment was going to be so lame?
Well, the Republicans are limited in what they can do from a punishment standpoint. I mean, already by statute, there are these fines that accrue, these $500 a day fines for being absent. The things they announced today, I think the most interesting one is to say that they're suspending direct deposit of legislators' paychecks, so that if they want to actually get paid, they have to show up in person and collect a physical check, which, of course, if they show up in person in the state of Texas, they are subject to arrest. So, it ratchets up the financial pressure a little bit. And then they put pressure on the staff as well, saying that they're going to immediately cut staff funding for those legislators who are absent, which could start to hurt some of the people that work for the legislators. And they may well care about that. So, there are a limited number of tools that Republicans can use, but they're trying to bring as many of them to bear as they can.
How do they keep someone like a Beto from swooping in and saving them money with some financial support?
Well, the biggest way to do that is with bribery charges. And there's already been some talk about that and some threatening of that, saying that, in essence, if Beto O'Rourke or anybody else just gives money to the absent Democrats as a reward, in essence, for their political behavior, that is, in fact, pretty close to the definition of bribery. So it's possible that there could be criminal charges filed if, in fact, wealthy Democrats, whether it's Beto O'Rourke or somebody else, transfer funds to the absent Democrats.
All right, Dr. Matthew Wilson, go ahead and take some crazy pills with me. I think that would help Beto. I think he would be a martyr if he got handcuffs put on for facilitating the stopping of the redistricting.
Yeah, he would probably like that visual. It would probably help him in a Democratic primary for Senate next year against Colin Allred and whoever else may run. So, yeah, Beto would probably welcome that. Now, whether the individual Democratic state legislators would be as keen on that is another question. But yeah, I don't think Beto is going to be intimidated by that.
I think it might even help him. We're talking with Dr. Matthew Wilson, SMU political science. So what happens next?
Well, right now, we'll see if any of these Democrats get apprehended. There's talk, although so far it's only talk, of the FBI getting involved and federal law enforcement trying to track these people down. The governor has asked an Illinois court to make the apprehension arrest warrants enforceable in Illinois. I suspect that will go nowhere.
Right.
So I think we're going to stay in a standoff for a little while. And then the big thing to watch next is whether we start to get a cascade of redistricting efforts in other states, California, New York, et cetera, because both Democratic and Republican states around the country are talking about getting in on this redistricting frenzy, and we'll see how that plays out.
Well, I want to tamper some people's enthusiasm because people write me emails and messages on Facebook saying they should grab them and throw them into alligator Alcatraz. And while that would be my preference as well, that's not going to happen. These people have run before at least a couple times since I've been doing talk radio, and they don't go to jail for this. Nothing really happens to them. They'll get some sort of financial paper cut, but don't get your hopes up.
That's probably correct. I will say this time that the governor has come out guns blazing from the get-go, talking about declaring these seats vacant and asking the Texas Supreme Court to agree with that declaration and therefore allow him to call new elections. These people could lose their seats if that happens. Now, they will in all likelihood be replaced by other Democrats, but they themselves could lose their legislative seats, and that's a significant penalty, significant sacrifice to make. But that's a bit of a legal long shot, and it will require the Texas Supreme Court to cooperate. So, definitely Republicans are trying to be more forceful in dealing with this than they have in the past, but the number of tools at their disposal is somewhat limited.
What happens if they stay away for an indefinite amount of time?
Well, the governor can keep calling special session after special session. The problem is, though, that there's some time sensitivity here. In order to get the primaries lined up for Congress next year, in order to get the ballots printed for the primary elections, any redistricting really needs to be wrapped up by November, early December at the latest. So Democrats, if they can wait that long, stay away from home for some months, then conceivably they could run out the clock here. But I think in the interim, we'll just keep seeing special session after special session called, and it'll be a game of chicken, which side will back down first.
Dr. Matthew Wilson, this can't be the best way to run government.
No, it's really not. And in fact, I think one thing that may come out of this is we may see an effort in the Texas legislature to amend the state constitution to lower the threshold for a quorum. In most states, half of the legislators constitute a quorum. Texas is unusual in that we require 2/3.
Oh.
And I think that Republicans might decide, what, we're tired of this. We're tired of government by flight, and we're going to put a constitutional amendment forward to become like most states and say, if you've got half the legislature there, you can do this.
Yeah, I guess we don't see a whole lot of other states doing this. Didn't Minnesota have some people who ran to Wisconsin or something a few years ago? But
that's right. And it happens in those few states like Texas that require more than half to constitute a quorum, require something like 2/3. And that's why I'm saying I think that going forward, there may be a look at trying to change that.
So let me zoom out and ask a broader question here. Why haven't we always done redistricting whenever we want? Why have we only done it at the end of the decade when we take the census? If it's that easy to do, no one thought of this before?
Well, it's like a lot of things in American politics. There are kind of gentlemen's agreements that existed where Democrats and Republicans, sort of tacitly agreed, all right, we're not going to do this to you if you don't do it to us. But those kinds of gentlemen's agreements are breaking down in a whole host of areas, right? Our politics is more partisan, more bitterly divided than it has been in the past. And Democrats and Republicans are both looking for any tool that they can use to try to press their advantage. And that's why we're seeing this start to happen.
I like your thoughts that there will be a cascade of states that follow suit if this goes through. I think we may be looking at a new norm going forward.
We could. And in fact, this is why there's actually been legislation introduced in the House in Washington to actually prohibit mid-decade redistricting. It was actually introduced by a Republican. Essentially, he's looking ahead at that scenario and saying, that's not where we want to go, where people are constantly doing redistricting, a Democratic legislature here, a Republican legislature there. And it would be interesting to see if that gets any traction on Capitol Hill.
Well, thanks for all the insights. You made my show a little smarter today. This is Dr. Matthew Wilson, SMU Political Science. And there was no quorum in the Texas House. There was no joy in Mudville as the fleeing Democrats fled away And so we got to hear the Tinkerbell for about a minute while the people were registering at 1 o'clock this afternoon in Austin at the Texas House of Representatives. It was disappointing. No quorum to be had. They adjourned business until Monday, but announced a bunch of punishments that don't sound very punishy. Oh, you're going to lose some of your operating budget. Oh, you're going to lose your newsletter. I mean, they're not going to lose their seats. They're not going to go to jail. They're not even going to lose their parking space, as a friend of the show, Brian Harrison, pointed out this week. That if they're not going to take it serious, there's no reason for them to come back. There's no reason for them to not do this in the future. So what do you think? Is this redistricting thing? Is this working out? Are we even going to get the new maps? Are we going to set up a national trend of all these other states taking our lead? Here was Brian Harrison 2 days ago.
Not one Democrat has been stripped of their seniority, their committee assignments, their budgets, their staff. Hell, we haven't even taken away their parking spots yet. So, no, I continue to call on the leadership, the Republican leadership in the state of Texas, to do what the voters of Texas want. In addition to the redistricting, they want more than just bold rhetoric. They want bold action.
Okay, so that was 2 days ago. In that list, part of their budgets have been taken away, for their own staff. So that's one small paper cut of a punishment. That's not going to do much, is it? 800-288-9227. This is Steve in Weatherford. You're on WBAP.
Hey, James. Two ideas. First, somebody needs to draft a bill that says if you bug out like this in the future, it's a $10,000 a day fine. Number two, give Jasmine Crockett some time on the radio every day until the elections in November 26th, and the Republicans will win by a landslide.
Okay, so the $10,000 a day fine. I have sort of this principle that a fine as a punishment isn't really a just punishment, because that means it's legal for a price. And so if you have people who are from money and they marry into a family that has even more money, like a Beto O'Rourke, a fine means nothing to these people. It's like when they used to fine Mark Cuban by the NBA for yelling at the refs. They're like, oh, they just fined him $50,000. It's like, bro, he loses $50,000 in the cushions of his couch. And so I like the idea of punishing them. My problem is if it's just going to be financial punishment, that's not a real punishment. That's something that someone else is going to make up by some other donation from somewhere else, from some other source. Real punishment is putting people in jail. Real punishment is vacating their seat. That you lose your office. Then all this work that you did to go win this election and get all these donors, and you're going to lose it all if you do this. I think that's where the real punishment is.
Well, you'd have to fight the U.S. Constitution about that. But if you say, look, it's $10,000 a day, it comes out of your personal pocket, unless you're in ICU at the hospital, that'll get a lot of minds. Take off for 14 days and owe the state of Texas $100,000. A lot of these representatives don't have that to throw away like that. This will get their attention.
It'll get some attention. You don't want to throw them out of office, though, Steve? You don't like that?
Well, I would if you could, but now there's all kinds of constitutional issues.
Pass the constitutional amendment, because it's a state of Texas Constitution. This wouldn't be any problem with the U.S. Constitution.
Well, I agree, but they need to get busy drafting some bills so that this never, ever happens again.
Yeah, I don't see any bills being drafted, so, Steve, this probably won't be the last time it happens. Great call, though. So Steve in Weatherford says fine them $10,000 a day for fleeing. And the second part of that I thought was not bad, too. He wants Jasmine on TV every day, so that'll assure the next victory. I don't think they understand how effective this is, the whole Jasmine Crockett thing. But you're right. This is going to work out in our favor if she keeps getting the attention she's getting.
Anglo.
All right, back to the phones. John, Midlothian, you're on WBAP.
Yes, my suggestion is that hold them personally liable for the expense incurred for holding a Senate session where they cannot do business.
So what does that look like?
Add up the total amount spent where everybody else's time, divide it by the number of people that are absent, send them a bill.
Okay, so they got to kind of pay their own court costs, is what that sounds like?
That's it.
Okay, so we still run into the same problem. If it's only a financial punishment, that's only punishment for people who can't afford it. If you're rich, then that means nothing to you. If you have rich people backing, if you're Beto, just imagine you're Beto O'Rourke. You're a rich kid who married an even richer family. He'll never have to work again. He has millions at his disposal. How does that disincentivize him?
Well, you got to just add up all the different charges and death by 1,000 needles.
Well, I have the same response. Why not just make them lose their seat? Why not kick them out of office? That's not something money would solve.
That's the best idea yet.
Okay. All right, so I'm not crazy. Thank you very much, John in Midlothian. So, look, everyone agrees they should be punished, and we just have to disagree on what would be most effective. I'm telling you, these financial punishments are not real punishments. That's like when you do something wrong in the house to break ethics, and they're like, you're going to be censured. It's like, what does that mean? It's like, well, we're going to pass a resolution saying you're bad. Like, really? That's not a punishment at all. It sounds like you're getting away with it. Oh, no. Don't fine me. Not $10,000. Oh, no. I'll never be able to afford that. Really changed my mind. 800-288-9227. I mean, look, I shouldn't talk like that. I don't have the answer to this. I think it'd be nice to kick him out of office, but I don't know. You think if that worked, they'd already be doing it. My guest yesterday from the Dallas Express, Chris Putnam, said he's 100% sure these new redistricting maps are going to pass on a long enough time scale. We just have to go through enough theater and a couple more circus acts, but it will happen. On the other hand, what's their incentive to ever come back if there's never a real punishment? So I'm not as sure that we're going to get the maps. And I'm not even sure if this is a good thing, if this is going to spark off some national cascade of redistricting. In the meantime, what do we do about these guys? I say you at least have to kick them out of office, if not jail them. But I'm not very optimistic that's going to happen. We've seen this happen in Texas a few years ago and 20 years ago. They didn't go to jail then, so I don't really expect them to go to jail now. So maybe I need your help. What do we do about these people? 800-288-9227. This is Randy in Frisco on WBAP. Hey, Randy.
Hey, so back in 2003, whenever they decided to take a trip over to Ardmore, Oklahoma, before there was even casinos in Oklahoma, there was nothing done about it. And there will not be anything done about it. So my whole thing was this could have been on the ballot for the past 22 years in regards to a constitutional amendment to the state of Texas. They failed. If you have a rhino running the House, which we know we do, like, I need to put them on all these freaking committees. They need to be on these committees. So now they escalated it to, instead of just going to Oklahoma, now they're making it a nationwide situation. So it's been escalated. So here's my solution. What we do is we have emergency special elections, starting with the closest margin of Republicans that barely beat Democrats, and we just put them on the ballots. We just make them have a special election, because obviously they're not going to vote for what we want anyway. So then either they're going to do what we want or they're going to get replaced. But we can do that. We can literally have special elections for people that are not holding other people accountable. Like, get them out.
We don't really have to do anything special. Next year is going to be a bunch of primary votes, and those are going to be the only elections that really count. Once it's past the primary, every Republican's going to beat you over the head. Well, you have to vote for him. You don't want the Democrat to win. So the point to really make sure that not just Republicans in name only, but actual ideologically honest Republicans is the primary system. And if you don't get it done then you got no one else to blame but the voters of your district.
So I wonder how special it feels whenever you're the Speaker of the House of Texas, literally like, I need a quorum. I need everybody to be here. Kumbaya, hold hands, make sure that they have their stuff that's getting voted on, make sure they can do whatever they want, make sure they're in all these committees, and literally they're bending you over, bro. Literally right there. Literally right now they're bending you over. You're going to do nothing.
They are not bending him over. It's not a punishment if you like it. You know what I'm saying? You can't rape the willing. This is a guy who had everyone and a quorum on Monday, and he adjourned until Friday, giving them the chance to run instead of holding them to account while they're all there. He put a lifelong Democrat, in charge of the redistricting committee, and he's a rhino to begin with, totally questionable. And all I think we have to do is we got a lot of work to do in the primaries coming next year for these state reps. And I'm talking about the Republicans. I don't even care what the Democrats are doing. This is Coach in Dallas. You're on WBAP.
Thanks for taking my call. Just driving home after a 4-hour lecture at school, and it just aggravates me to listen to it all. I agree with you about kicking them out of office. I'd rather for them to be publicly flogged, but the problem is our side. Our side is so pathetic that we don't do anything, that people like this can just do whatever they want. The fellow just before just said so in 2003. There are no consequences for those guys doing anything. That's the problem. It's pathetic.
Well, stop sending these people back into office. And I don't mean you specifically, Coach, but every one of the incumbent Republicans that flipped and voted with the Democrats to put Speaker Burrow in the speakership, they're on what we call the Rhino list. Brian Harrison gave me the list. We got someone else to make a map, and so I will give you our Rhino list, the official James Show Rhino list. You find out if you're in one of those districts, and if your representative is one of those, and I don't mean you, Coach, I mean everyone listening. I mean, you go do the work in your district to make sure you find someone else to run in that primary seat, and you damn sure better make damn sure that they win. I just boo-booed that up. But you get what I'm saying.
I do. How about this? Let me add something to what you said earlier, which I agree with. Kick them out of office. Give them a financial penalty, which I understand how that works out. Bar them from ever running for office again and give them a jail term. That way they get rid of their honest graft, and you know what? They take their chances, and when they fail forever.
Love it, Coach. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Russ in Richardson. You're on WBAP.
Yeah, James, I agree with your thought, but I got a question. If they can't get the Democrats to come back for a quorum, how would they get them back for a constitutional amendment vote?
Yeah, if you kick them out of office, then you either replace them or your number that you need for a quorum is smaller, because it's a percentage. What was it, 60% that they need? And if those seats are vacant, they won't be counted toward the quorum. So if you kick them out of office, you can come up with the quorum without them and vote in all this stuff. So, the map, the constitutional amendment to kick them out of office, put them in jail, whatever the heck else.
I'm all for that.
Well, so we know the litmus test, if they're serious, if Burrows is serious and the Republican leadership, capital R Republican leadership is serious, the talk should be starting now about kicking these people out of office. That's who is taking this serious. Ken Paxton, actually, today, since this happened, already, since 1 o'clock when this happened, he's filed a lawsuit at the Texas Supreme Court hoping to vacate the seats of the Texas Democrats who fled the state. See, he sounds legit. He sounds like he's on board. He's not on the Rhino list. What do we do about the redistricting Dodgers, about the stray dog Democrats? 800-288-9227. That's coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.